I want to explain a little bit about why depth healing is different and why studying with me is different and why having a living knowledge and a teacher with living knowledge is extremely important and completely different. So Google, what do they call AI, all that stuff is data, okay? It's dead, it's just dead data points. There's no life to it, there's nothing. If a person takes data and starts to use it actively, starts to live it, then it starts to have significance, and it has relevance, significance, and it's actual knowledge. Otherwise, it has nothing to do with anything at all. Just like you look at your computer, and the computer can sit there till hell freezes over, and it's just going to stay a computer. But a person is a living thing. Now, for thousands of years, people sought out mentors and teachers. And they don't study with them for a weekend, they study with them for years and years and years. My great masters, I studied with them 26 years, 30 years, 40 years. The doctors that I studied with, 4 years, 6 years, 8 years. I've been studying for over 50 years in my craft. Now, what's so great about depth healing? Depth healing is different in that I live depth healing. So let me say that again. I actually live this craft. This isn't something I do. It's something I am. When you see a professional career Marine like Chesty Puller, that isn't something they do. That's something they are. And that state of being occurred through a process that they had to live through, suffer through, and experience. And that craft was passed to them by the men that came before them and their teachers, and then their teachers and their teachers and their teachers. In the old days, before the Industrial Revolution, one of the reasons men have been completely destroyed, all but completely destroyed, and soon the sons don't learn from their fathers anymore. And they don't learn from their grandfathers and their uncles. That's a travesty. So, and then when you wanted to really become a master of a craft, you go and you serve an apprenticeship. And that's a living knowledge, because you're learning from a living teacher that knows and embodies what he's teaching. See, let's say a surgeon performs surgery. He can't live surgery. A computer programmer is a computer programmer. It's a thing he does, but he can't live that. There's nothing to live. This is, we call the Dharma. Dharma is a path. It's a pathway and it's a craft. And the Dharma crafts, Budo, Heiho, Zen, Tibetan, the Buddhist ways, the Sufi ways, all of those ways are passed heart from a teacher, their heart, to the student's heart. In Japan, in English, we say cup to cup. You're an empty cup, you go to the teacher, the master, the sensei, the soke, and he puts his cup on top of yours. He fills you up. It takes years Can take decades and decades and decades. Nothing in the craft happens suddenly. So I am the living proof of depth healing. I used to be a very poor, miserable, angry, frustrated guy, studying all the time, but all kinds of charges and all kinds of problems. Couldn't make a dime, couldn't save a dime. All of that is completely gone. Now, what does that mean? That means that I am transformed. Depth healing technology is a combination of quantum physics and mysticism. The mysticism is the mystic wisdom that flows through me and has also been passed to me, which I absorb every day, all day, because of my connection. And I have all of the science background, trained for, I got 13 something years academics in science. So it's a combination of those things, and what it does is it creates transformation. What do I mean? You can go to a therapist, psychologist, and waste 30, 40 years. All you do is get a translation. What is a translation? You go to the therapist with one story, and he's going to change the story for you. He's just operating with, fundamentally, unless he does hypnosis, he's just operating with the frontal cortex. A translation means you're gonna rearrange your house. It's the same furniture, same house, same everything. It's just that you rearrange it. A transformation is you take all that furniture and you get rid of it and you put in all brand new furniture. So the guy you're listening to right now is so different from the man I was in just even a year ago, let alone years ago. You wouldn't recognize me. I don't recognize me. That's called transformation, and that's because I live this. Now I have wealth. I live this, what I teach you about wealth, and everything is here. I live with the divine, and I teach you about the divine, and you look at everything that's going on. Now, at the Muhurta, I jumped from, 20 people to way over 1,000, with hundreds of thousands following me worldwide. Now we have this big following, and I'm asking the divine to make me worthy of that and be able to take on that responsibility properly. How does that kind of thing happen? I'd like you to remember what Jim Rohn teaches. The universe doesn't cater to who needs something. The universe caters to who deserves something. The great Charlie Munger said, that recently died, one of the most brilliant businessmen in the entire world. The best way to become wealthy or to have a wonderful life is to deserve it. When you live a pathway, when you go to become a Marine, when you want to learn a craft as a healer, and you study under great healers, you have to earn it. You earn it by deeds and consistency and actions. And that is the living aspect of it. Data doesn't mean a damn thing. The stuff that I do every day, I'm getting ready here in 9 minutes to start working on 2 people. The stuff I do, they got scientists all over the world right now who are trying to figure out if entanglement even exists. And meanwhile, I'm doing all this stuff, and there are other healers that are doing all this stuff, and they've been doing it for thousands of years. Data doesn't mean nothing. you can use data to validate it. Like I'll say something about science sometime because it's nice to validate it in the minds of the public, but it doesn't mean a damn thing. When you die, if you want to see something, go watch somebody dying if you've never seen someone die, and ask yourself, how important is any data? Thousands of people watching me and listening to me and following now and going to the Seva events. Why? It paused me. Because for over 50 years, I have been building my bond with the divine. It has virtue. Now at the Muhurta, the divine just flooded it. Johnny and I, we never had money for ad campaigns or anything like that. None of the regular business paradigm applies to me at all. Nothing. And that's because it's different. Depth healing is different. It's a truly divine connected pathway that serves humanity for their highest and their best. It's a problem-solving, life reorganizing engine technology, but it's a living technology. It lives through me. When I die, it's gone. It's a whole developmental series of different things that go into me over 50 years. You can't replicate it. And it's my bond. You must make your bond. Make your bond with the divine. You know, like in the movie Avatar, when she says to the, I can't think of the guy's name right now. And she says, make the bond, Swahilu. And the neurons wrap together. You make your bond. You design, you figure out and design carefully what your values are. And then you start living your values. No one can live them for you. Nobody can design your life for you. Nobody can study for you. Nobody can pray. Well, I pray for you, but what I mean is the bond you either develop or don't develop, that's all in your hands. The only reason that I'm different is because that's all I've ever done. And did I fumble and fall? 1,000 times, folks. What I'm doing now is primo, but it was a hell of a climb. And I went through all kinds of stuff and all kinds of asinine mistakes. And I'm not talking business now. I'm talking with what I thought was the divine, and got caught up in la land and fooled for a while, and fake teachers that broke my heart to smithereens. So many of the teachers or gurus, it's just pathetic, and they'll break your heart, especially girls. They tell them that they were their wife in the past life. The only thing they want to do is make love to them. All that stuff happens all the time, folks. So I went through all kinds of stuff, but things are different now, and I am with the divine. And the proof is the size and the growth of depth healing overnight. The fact that my clients do get well. If a client quits early and they don't stay through their process, however long it takes, that's got nothing to do with me. That's got everything to do with the client. It took Dr. Obersky 8 years to get rid of my cognitive dissonance with poverty consciousness, because I had over 27 years of programmed poverty consciousness. So you don't knock that out in a couple of hours. So I never give up.